Let's look at another example of init function, that how does it work. If we have to define a function in our class, we have done the same thing, that we made a class of person and in it we call the init function. Here, one thing to be noted is that in place of self I have passed a variable as a parameter named my object. This will work exactly like self. What we're learning here is that we can change any word here in place of self, but it is essential to give the first parameter which will work as a reference variable of object. Ahead of this, our real parameters will start where we have to pass values. First, using that object, I assign the value in name to name. Name is a variable. In this variable, that value will be stored, which will go to this name. Secondly, in age, that value will be stored, which will be assigned here using this age. This was constructor call. When my P1 object will be created of person class, so first its name will be passed here, Imran. Then 36 age will be passed to this point, and both of them will be stored in this variable and this variable. The second thing to look at here is if I have to define a function, that if I pass that function without any parameter, we saw this in the last lesson also. So what error will it show at this point? If I run this program, so it generated an error that takes 0 positional arguments but 1 was given. The same error which we saw before means that at this position we have to pass a parameter using which we can access these values. Means here our object was not created, but a reference to that object will be available, which we will treat as a parameter and it will print those values. It printed, hello, my name is Imran, which is, where is my output showing? In this function. Where have I done this function's call? I have done this function's call through the P1 function. When I did the P1 function's call, I passed 2 arguments in those constructors which were stored in name and age using this or these 2 variables. Now when I had to access name and age, it was important to have a reference of the object. So I made self a reference of the object and through it, name or age, whichever I have to access, I can access. It has showed age. Some additional things we need to understand are that, like we saw earlier, that we do not have del function. What work does the del keyword do? First of all, age of person's class. The object passed during object creation, we want to change that argument. We want to change its value, so for it dot age equal to 60. Now when I will print p1 dot age, it will print a new value in this case and not 40. It printed 60. What object call was done the first time 36 was passed? After 36 in function call, it printed 36 the first time. But as soon as it came to the next line, it had gotten an updated value which is 60 and it updated the value of age. If you want to delete data, a data member or function from memory, the simple method is that data member will be deleted through del p1 object. If I run it now, it will run once and after that it will give an error because when it will move forward from this line, it will find the deletion of a data member, and in the next line when it will be printed, it will not find the age data member anywhere in memory. It would have been deleted from memory. Like this, if we have to delete object, to delete it we have del p1. Till here, it knows the memory address of p1. It will treat p1, but after this line, it does not know about p1 and it will say that p1 is not defined. It has given an error that p1 is not defined, means our object which was p1 has been deleted from memory. Till here, the things we saw or understood were that how arguments are passed to init method and what is self parameter means, what is reference object and init method actually helps in initialization and when it is called.